Hello and welcome to Edge of Emotion. Let me tell you a story about the redemptive power of love when a young mother's broken heart blossomed with unexpected happiness. Enjoy the story. Emily Parker sobbed uncontrollably on the park bench, her delicate hands cradling her flat stomach protectively. Just hours earlier, her world had shattered into a million pieces when her boyfriend John dumped her with no warning. "But John, I'm carrying your baby," she had cried, tears streaming down her porcelain cheeks. He had simply sneered, "Not my problem, babe. I'm not ready to be a dad." With that, the heartless brute had stormed out, leaving Emily alone and pregnant at just 19 years old. Her sobs grew more hysterical as she realized the full consequences of John's betrayal. She had been kicked out of her dorm for her condition and forced to drop out of college. With no family to turn to, the apartment they shared was under John's name only. She was utterly alone with no money, no home, and soon to be a struggling single mother. Emily. Oh my God, what happened? Emily's former roommate and resident advisor Samantha gasped, rushing over to the distraught girl on the bench. Through choking sobs, Emily poured out the whole sorry tale of John's cruelty and abandonment. Samantha listened with a look of horror and pity, wrapping a comforting arm around the shaking girl. "You poor thing. That bastard is going to pay for this." Samantha seethed. "Look, you can't stay on the streets, especially in your condition. Let's get you somewhere safe tonight and figure this out." Gently, she guided Emily back to the dorms, and her heart broke again, seeing the pitiful sight of Emily packing her meager belongings into a tattered duffel bag. Over mugs of hot tea, Samantha tenderly stroked Emily's hand as she said, "I think I have an idea that could be perfect for you." A week later, Emily Parker found herself standing on the sprawling grounds of a luxurious Beverly Hills estate, palms sweating nervously. She smoothed her thrift store sundress over her slightly rounded belly before ringing the doorbell of the palatial mansion. The door swung open to reveal a distinguished older gentleman in a sleek designer suit. Despite his obvious wealth, his warm hazel eyes crinkled kindly as he smiled. "You must be Emily. I'm Michael Redford. Please come in." Emily instantly felt herself relax a little at his gentle demeanor as she entered the marble foyer. "Thank you for seeing me, Mr. Redford. My friend Samantha explained my situation." Of course," Michael murmured, guiding her into an elegant study. "Please, have a seat and tell me more about yourself." And so Emily poured out her heart once more, Michael listening intently without a shred of judgment on his face. By the time she finished, tears welled in her eyes again. I just need a safe place to have this baby and to get back on my feet." "Say no more," Michael said gently, surprising her by taking her hands in his soft wrinkled ones. "You're hired as my live-in companion. We have plenty of room here and I could certainly use some help with meals and therapy since my accident." Emily gasped, hardly daring to believe her luck. "Oh, Mr. Redford, thank you. You've saved me and my baby." Over the next 8 months, Emily blossomed under Michael's kindness and care. She cooked him nutritious, delicious meals, helped him with his daily exercise and therapy regimen, and her radiant smiles brightened his lonely life. In return, Michael doted on Emily, converting one of the many bedrooms into a beautiful nursery and ensuring she had everything she needed for a healthy pregnancy. He had his private doctor and a midwife make house calls, treating Emily like a treasured daughter. Finally, the blessed day arrived, and Emily gave birth to a beautiful baby boy with thick black hair and Michael's warm, hazel eyes. She spent just one night in the hospital before returning to the mansion, her precious son swaddled in her arms. "What will you name him?" Emily gazed down at her son's perfect face with adoring eyes. "I think, Lucas. Lucas Michael Parker." Michael smiled warmly, gently brushing the baby's cheek. "A wonderful name. Welcome to your new home, little Lucas." And so mother and child settled into their new life, with Emily caring for Michael and the house just as devotedly as she did her son. She read stories to Lucas, played endless games of peekaboo, and sang him lullabies as he drifted to sleep in her arms each night. Her heart overflowed with love for the little boy who was her entire world. 6 months after Lucas's birth, the quiet peace was shattered one summer afternoon by the shrill ringing of the doorbell. Emily settled Lucas into his crib for a nap and hurried to answer it. She gasped in shock and horror when she found herself face to face with John, her son's deadbeat father who had so cruelly abandoned them both. His eyes went wide, darting between Emily and the baby's room with sudden realization. Well, if it isn't the little slut who tried to trap me," John sneered viciously. "Shoulda known you'd whore yourself out as a nanny to some rich geezer just to mooch off him." Emily flushed crimson with shame and anger. "How dare you? Get out of this house at once." "Not so fast," a stern voice cut in. Michael had wheeled himself over, eyes flashing dangerously at the unwelcome guest. "I believe you've mistaken my employee for some prostitute. She is the mother of my grandson, and I suggest you treat her with respect." John recoiled in disbelief. "Grandson, you can't be serious, Uncle Michael. She's just a lying little tramp who got herself knocked up." "That's quite enough," Michael said coldly. "Emily is a loving mother and wonderful caregiver. I won't have you speaking that way under my roof. Leave now before I have security remove you." Looking between the two furious men, John seemed to deflate. With one last glare of hatred at Emily, he slunk away. But they both knew this was far from over. Once John had gone, an uneasy silence fell over the mansion. Emily couldn't meet Michael's eyes, her face still burning from John's vile words. Finally, Michael cleared his throat. "I owe you an apology, Emily, and an explanation." She looked up in surprise as he wheeled closer, taking her trembling hands in his wizened ones. "The truth is, I had grown quite fond of you and little Lucas these past months. You've brought such light and life into this place." His expression grew tender. "I realize that I don't want you to just be my employee forever. I want you to be my wife, my real true wife. Lucas deserves a father's love, and you deserve to be properly cared for as family." Emily's eyes widened in shock. "Marry you? But Michael, you're so much older than me and wealthy and?" He prompted gently. "I may be older, but I've grown to love you deeply, Emily. This way I can right the wrong of that cat abandoning you. I can provide for you and Lucas. Secure your future as my wife." She searched his warm hazel eyes, seeing only sincerity and affection. Slowly, she nodded. If you truly want me, I will marry you, Michael. But I need it to be a real marriage, built on partnership and maybe even love." Michael smiled, lifting her hands to his lips. "Nothing could make me happier, my dear." 5 years later, the Redford mansion had never looked so vibrant and alive. Peals of laughter echoed through the halls as two rambunctious little boys chased each other, followed by the barks of their beloved puppy. "Lucas! Benjamin! You two better not be tormenting Rufus again," Emily called in a mock-stern voice. Her face was aglow with happiness, worlds away from the broken teenage mother she had been. She felt strong arms wrap around her from behind as Michael nuzzled against her neck. "Let the boys play, my love. You've got your hands full enough as it is." Emily leaned back against her husband's firm chest, beaming with contentment. After years of devoted physical therapy, Michael had regained much of his mobility and strength. He was an active, doting father to their 2 sons. His biological child Benjamin, as well as Lucas, whom he loved no less as his own. "They're perfect terrors just like their old man," Michael chuckled, his hands drifting to Emily's rounded belly. "And we'll have one more little hellion to add to the bunch soon enough." Emily laughed, covering his hands with her own. "Well, with your devilish good looks, can you blame me for wanting another?" She turned in his embrace, gazing up at him with pure adoration. Michael's once cold, empty life was now overflowing with the love of his wife and children. He pulled Emily close, kissing her deeply in a moment of profound gratitude. When they finally broke apart, Michael brushed a tender hand over her flushed cheek. "I'll never be able to repay you for the light you brought into my world, Emily. You've given me everything." Her eyes shone with happy tears as she rose on her tiptoes to kiss him once more. "No, Michael, you gave me a real family, a life I never could have dreamed of. We saved each other." Just then, a tiny blonde whirlwind came barreling around the corner, followed closely by his giggling brother. "Mommy, Daddy, can we go swimming in the pool?" "Please, please, we'll be good," Lucas piped up, shooting his most charming grin at his parents. Michael laughed, scooping up the youngest boy as Emily grabbed Lucas. "What do you say, my dear? Should we teach these rascals how to properly cannonball?" "Last one in is a rotten egg," Emily crowed, already racing towards the shimmering pool with squealing children in tow. Chuckling, Michael followed at a slower pace, his heart so full it felt fit to burst. From the depths of loneliness and despair, he had found his true happiness here with his beautiful wife and family. He was one of the luckiest men in the world.